The Jacksonian era was nothing short of another American Revolution. By 1850, the common man demanded his place in politics, the office of the president was invigorated, and the frontier exerted its ever more powerful impact on the American scene. Politically, when Andrew Jackson was elected, the United States took a turn for the worst. He was known among the people as King Jackson I, and was known to be a tyrant who constantly abused his veto power. He had a group of personal advisors meet in the White House kitchen because he did not agree with the actual cabinet, and they were nicknamed the Kitchen Cabinet. The Maysville Road Bill was proposed in 1830, and it suggested building a road in Kentucky. President Jackson decided to veto this bill simply because he did not like Henry Clay, who happened to be from Kentucky. After President Andrew Jackson's term, John Quincy Adams was elected, but his election was not an honest one. Henry Clay agreed to support Adams during his presidential campaign, in return for Adams promising to make Clay his Secretary of State. This almost guaranteed the presidency in the following election. During this time period, tariffs and bills stirred up the people. The Tariff of Abominations was put into action, which was issued to protect the industry of America. It was controversial because it harmed the Southern industry. John Calhoun wrote a piece called the South Carolina Exposition in secret when this bill was passed, speaking out against the terrible tariff. The Force Bill was put into action that allowed Congress to authorize military use against belligerent states. This was inspired by South Carolina and their open nullification of the tariff. They also decided to nullify the Force Bill. Wars among Indian nations occurred often during this time period as well. Among these wars was the Black Hawk War. In the early 1830s, white settlers in western Illinois and eastern Iowa placed a large amount of pressure on the Native American people there to move west of the Mississippi River. Native American tribes visited Chief Black Hawk of the Sauk tribe. Black Hawk led a rebellion against the United States and started the war in Illinois, eventually spreading it to the Wisconsin Territory. It ended in August of 1832, when Illinois militia slaughtered more than 200 Sauk and Fox people. Another war was the Seminole War, a conflict that began in Florida in 1817 between the Seminole Indians and the U.S. Army when the Seminoles resisted removal. When the war ended, only about 100 members of the Seminole tribe were left, meaning they had forced out or slaughtered 90% during the war. The period of Antebellum went from 1820 through 1860. During this time frame, the nation was transformed from an underdeveloped nation of farmers and frontiersmen into an urbanized economic powerhouse, which was called the Market Revolution. The Market Revolution was heavily based on wages and exchanges of goods and services. The industrialized North and agricultural South grew apart, and 5 major trends dominated America: economically, socially, and politically. They grew apart even more when the debate over slavery began. Northerners did not care for equal rights during this time, only the freedom of the slaves. It centered mainly in the westward expansion of slavery. The South saw the expansion of slavery as vital to maintain their aristocratic social and economic order. On the other hand, the North refused to allow the South to gain more territory that allowed slavery. The slaves were strictly controlled and punished. One of their only abilities to protest was to sing. There were many technological advancements during this time period as well. Eli Whitney invented the cotton gin and perfected manufacturing with interchangeable parts. Cyrus McCormick created the mechanical mower reaper, which revolutionized grain production in the West. Internally, the United States perfected the use of canals and road systems, such as the Erie Canal and the Cumberland Road. Transportation advancements were also common, including steamboats and railroads. This caused trade and transportation of goods to be easier and more cost-effective between agricultural South and industrial North. Society became very urbanized. The U.S., which used to consist of farmers, changed in the 1820s when many families moved to cities. The farmers mixed with a vast variety of immigrants in search of work. The middle class was created of movements such as consumption reduction and prostitution elimination, which were made to improve social life. The Second Great Awakening occurred, which was an enormous Protestant revival movement that had a large impact on life all over the U.S. by increasing the concern over slavery and causing a decrease in crime. People often left their keys in their ignitions, and houses were rarely locked because it was deemed unnecessary. From the age of Jackson to the end of the antebellum of the Civil War, America changed and grew socially, politically, religiously, intellectually, technologically, and economically.